I never thought I'd see her face again. Not like this, not in court, sitting so straight in that seat, like she hadn't spent the last decade trying to dismantle me in whispers and judgmental smiles. Dear viewers, welcome to our channel. Subscribe to receive more stories every day. Lorraine, my ex-husband's mother. The woman who once held my hand in the hospital as I gave birth to her first grandchild. The woman who used to call me sweetheart and my daughter. Now she was trying to take my children. And she had brought an army. 3 lawyers. A stack of affidavits. A gallery of friends and distant relatives ready to swear I was unstable, irresponsible, and unfit. She'd been planning this. I sat there with my palms flat on the table, pretending I wasn't shaking inside. My own lawyer, Erica Lang, leaned over and whispered, "She's playing long game custody war. But don't worry. We're going to win the long game." She didn't know half of it. I'd been divorced from Nathan for a little over a year. Things were stable, even kind. We shared custody without fights. The kids, Maya 8 and Leo 6, were adjusting well. Then Nathan died. Car crash, the kind where you never get a goodbye. A stormy night, a drunk driver, and one phone call that flipped my life upside down. He was gone. Just like that. At first, Lorraine showed up with casseroles and flowers. She cried with me, even stayed with the kids the first few nights. I thought, for one fleeting moment, that we might move forward together. But something shifted. By week 2, she started undermining me in whispers. "Maybe you should think about therapy again. You know, just to stay on track for the kids." By week 4, she had stopped asking for my permission before picking them up from school. By week 6, I received a formal petition for emergency custody. Lorraine claimed I was emotionally compromised, citing postpartum depression I had faced years ago, twisted as if I were currently unraveling. She alleged I left the kids alone for hours, refused therapy, and was mentally unstable due to unresolved trauma. I stared at the petition in disbelief. She didn't want visitation. She wanted my children. The court session felt surreal. Lorraine sat poised in a cream blouse, nodding solemnly as her lawyer read from the petition like it was gospel. She had brought a family friend, an older woman named Diane, who testified that I used to seem foggy after the birth of Maya. Used to. My lawyer objected. Diane hadn't seen me in nearly 5 years. But Lorraine wasn't building her case on facts. She was building it on fear, suggestion, and carefully curated half-truths. And it was working. Then came the worst part. My therapist was called. Dr. Fielding had been helping me process Nathan's death. I trusted him. So when he arrived at court, I expected a neutral, compassionate perspective. Instead, he hesitated. He read selectively from notes. He suggested I still struggle to regulate emotionally. It didn't sound like him. Sounded manipulated. My chest tightened. My hands trembled. Afterward, I asked him what that was all about. He deflected. "Court environments are delicate," he said. "I can only speak to what's documented." Something wasn't right. After court, Erica didn't say much at first. But I could tell she smelled something foul in the air. "He changed his tone," she said. "That therapist. I've seen him testify before. He's cautious, yes, but not like that. He didn't even mention your consistency, or the kid's stability under your care. Something's off." I agreed. I felt it in my bones. That night, I went home and cried on the kitchen floor. The kids were asleep. I felt like I was fighting gravity, and gravity was wearing Lorraine's perfume. But I wasn't going to give in. A week later, Erica called me with something in her voice I hadn't heard before. Adrenaline. "Lily, we have something." I sat up straighter on the couch. "You remember that intake call you mentioned? The one your therapist's office asks for before someone books a session?" "Yeah." "Well, we pulled it." "Wait, what?" "Someone pretending to be you or someone else called Dr. Fielding's office a month ago, requesting access to records. It flagged because the voice didn't match yours. The admin, bless her soul, recorded the call and reported it." He paused. "It was Lorraine." My heart stopped. She used a fake name and claimed to be a medical proxy. She asked questions about your sessions. She said, and I quote, "We're building a case against an unfit parent." I stared at the wall, stunned. She broke federal law, Erica said. And guess what? We can use this. It's admissible. A sound started in my chest. Something between a sob and a laugh. She has no idea, does she? Not yet. And if we time this right, we'll make it count where it matters most. Right in front of the judge. For the next few days I went through the motions. School drop-offs, brushing Maya's hair, helping Leo with his dinosaur drawings. But every second was laced with an undercurrent of rage and purpose. Lorraine didn't want the kids out of love. She wanted control. Her son was gone. Her grip was slipping. And she was clawing for ownership of something she didn't deserve. She thought she could smear my name, weaponize my pain, and come out the hero. But she underestimated the one thing I still had. Truth. And soon the entire courtroom would hear it. I always thought truth would be enough. But truth, I learned, is just one voice in a courtroom full of noise. It doesn't shout. It doesn't twist. It doesn't rehearse. It simply waits, hoping someone will finally listen. Lorraine didn't wait. She manipulated the narrative with elegance and confidence. Her new strategy wasn't just about portraying me as unstable. It was to paint herself as the only one left who truly cared about the children. And she was good at it. On the morning of the next hearing, I found myself smoothing my blouse for the 5th time in the bathroom mirror of the courthouse. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I just didn't want to look broken. That would have made her job easier. As we entered the courtroom, Erica leaned in and said, "Stay composed no matter what they say. Today, they're going to try to bury you emotionally." She was right. The first witness Lorraine's team called was my former neighbor, Margot. We'd had a tense relationship over lawn boundaries and noise complaints, but I never imagined she'd be here. She used to leave the kids alone in the backyard for hours, Margot testified. I worried. It didn't feel safe. I stared in disbelief. Leo had been in a playpen. Maya had a baby monitor. And I was literally 5 feet away in the kitchen. But in the courtroom, no one heard that detail. They just heard, "unsafe." Then came a bombshell. Lorraine's attorney submitted what they claimed was a written statement from Dr. Fielding, my therapist, saying I had a history of erratic and inconsistent emotional regulation, especially under stress. It sounded official, clean, precise. My lawyer requested verification of the document's origin and signature. But damage doesn't wait for evidence. It lands with weight and implication. I could see the judge scribbling something in her notes. I felt my stomach drop. After the hearing, Erica slammed the conference room door shut and cursed under her breath. "I've never seen anything like this." That statement. It reeks of being ghost-written. Fielding's name is on it, but I'd bet my license someone else drafted it for him. I barely heard her. It was numb. "She's setting up a complete character assassination," Erica continued. "And Fielding? He's either scared, compromised, or both. I don't know which yet." "I trusted him," I whispered. Erica paused, then softened. "I know." Then she pulled out a flash drive and laid it on the table between us like a card in a poker game. "But we still have this. A call. The one Lorraine made to Dr. Fielding's office under a fake name. I had listened to it once. That was enough. Made my skin crawl. The receptionist, bless her honesty, had held on to it and even reported it to her manager. Her voice on the tape was gentle but firm. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but we can't release confidential patient information without written authorization." And Lorraine, thinking she was being clever, said, "Well, let's just say the patient won't be fit to object soon enough." I had to pause the recording the first time I heard that part. My heart couldn't take it. She wasn't just planning to take my kids. She was planning to break me first. Erica and I decided we would hold the recording until the final hearing, unless we had to use it sooner. The timing would matter. If we played it too early, Lorraine's team would spin it. But if we waited until Lorraine was standing on her self-built pedestal of lies, It would all come crashing down. But Lorraine wasn't done. 1 week before the final hearing, CPS showed up at my door. Someone had filed a report anonymously. The allegations that I had left my children unattended for over 12 hours while engaging in reckless behavior. 12 hours. I hadn't even been out of the house in 12 hours. The caseworker was polite but clearly taking notes for documentation. She asked to see the kids' rooms, check the fridge, look through the medicine cabinet. Maya clung to my leg. Leo stood silently in the hallway. Cooperated. He stayed calm. But as soon as the door closed behind them, I crumbled. This was psychological warfare. That same night, Erica called with unexpected news. "You're going to want to sit down for this." She forwarded an email. It was from Dr. Fielding. Subject line: formal correction of statements submitted under my name. It read, "I am writing to state that the document submitted in court under my name does not reflect my professional opinion. I did not authorize or write that statement. I suspect coercion was involved and would like to speak to the court directly to clarify." I read it 3 times. He knew. He finally saw the trap he'd walked into. "Looks like he found his conscience," Erica muttered. "Or maybe Lorraine went too far," I whispered. Even for him. With the recording and Dr. Fielding's letter, we had leverage. Not just legal evidence but narrative reversal, the kind that doesn't just defend the accused but exposes the accuser. Erica smiled for the first time in weeks. "We're going to flip this case. You just have to hold steady for 1 more week." But I knew Lorraine wouldn't go quietly. She was smart, strategic. She could feel power slipping away, and that made her dangerous. That weekend I took Maya and Leo to the park. Just the 3 of us. I sat on the bench, watching them chase bubbles and shout each other's names. I wasn't fighting for revenge. I was fighting for this. For the small moments. The bedtime kisses. The weird little inside jokes. The kind of love that didn't have to announce itself in court, because it was already written in every corner of our home. I would not let her steal that from us. The morning of the final hearing felt cold. Not because of the weather but because of the weight of what was about to happen. I didn't eat. I didn't drink. My body was quiet, focused. Every cell in me was holding its breath. Lorraine had spent months painting herself as the victim, the savior, the only one fit to care for Maya and Leo. But today, the courtroom would hear her true voice. And it wouldn't be the voice of a doting grandmother. Lorraine's legal team arrived in full force. Matching binders, stacks of paper, a new expert witness who hadn't appeared before, some psychologist who had never met me but was ready to testify about parental burnout trends in women with trauma. They were throwing every last stone. Erica leaned over and whispered, "They're scared." This is the desperation play. When the judge walked in, the room fell into tense silence. Lorraine sat at the opposite table with her hands folded neatly in her lap, wearing soft lavender and a string of pearls. She looked like a grandmother from a Hallmark movie. But her eyes, those didn't lie. They were cold, scanning me like a chessboard. We began. They went first. Witnesses repeated the same tired, exaggerated stories. One said I'd cried in public after Nathan's death and seemed hysterical. Another insisted I'd once forgot to pick up Leo from preschool, conveniently omitting that I had called ahead because of a traffic jam. Then Dr. Fielding was called. He walked slowly to the stand, his face pale but resolved. "I would like to start," he said, "by saying the document previously submitted under my name was not authored by me. I never agreed to provide that statement. I was pressured subtly over the course of several calls by a third party who should not have had access to my office." Murmurs rippled through the room. Lorraine didn't move, but her lips pressed into a sharp line. When asked to elaborate, Fielding hesitated, then nodded. "I've since learned that a phone call was made to my office under false pretenses. I've listened to that call. And I understand now that I was being used as a tool in a custody scheme." It was the first fracture in Lorraine's mask. She smiled politely, but her hands curled inward. It was Erica's turn to present our case. "Your Honor," she began, "we have something rare. Something indisputable." She reached for the laptop we'd tested 5 times that morning. "I'd like to play a recording. An office intake call that took place 1 month before the false statement was submitted under Dr. Fielding's name. The caller used a false identity to access confidential patient information." "Objection," Lorraine's lawyer barked. "Sustained for now," the judge said. "You'll need to demonstrate relevance." Erica didn't flinch. "Gladly." She walked the judge through the chain of custody, the recording's origin, the clinic's authentication, and the privacy violations involved. Every step documented, every loophole closed. The judge paused. "Proceed." Erica clicked play. The courtroom filled with the crisp, slightly echoing voice of the receptionist. "Good afternoon, Dr. Fielding's office, this is Claire." And then Lorraine's voice. Smiling. Calculated. "Hi, I'm calling about Lily Graham's file. Her medical proxy. We're working on a situation related to custody. I need to confirm how long she's been in therapy and whether she's ever been diagnosed with any instability, especially postpartum. We're building a case against an unfit parent." Silence in the room. "I'm sorry," Claire replied. "We can't release any of that without written permission." Lorraine's voice again, sharper. "She won't be in any condition to object soon. Let's just say this is about protecting children." Then the clincher. The part Erica had time-stamped and replayed over and over in her head. "I'm just doing what her son would have wanted. She never deserved those kids to begin with." The judge's face shifted. No more neutral mask. No more vague scribbles in the margin of her notepad. She looked directly at Lorraine. "Is that your voice, Mrs. Keller?" Lorraine's lawyer tried to object again, but this time the judge shut it down instantly. Lorraine opened her mouth, then shut it. Everyone was watching. Even the gallery, where parents from other hearings sat wide-eyed, had gone still. Finally she said, "That recording is taken out of context." Erica stood. "The context is exactly the issue." After a tense recess, the judge returned with her verdict. She didn't stall. "The court finds overwhelming evidence that Mrs. Lorraine Keller engaged in unethical, manipulative, and potentially criminal actions in pursuit of custody. The false representation to a medical office, attempts to influence testimony, and filing of reports designed to mislead this court are deeply concerning." Lorraine shifted in her seat. "I not only deny the petition for custody, I am issuing a temporary suspension of visitation privileges until a formal psychological evaluation is completed." Lorraine gasped. Audible. Sharp. But the judge wasn't done. "In addition, I am forwarding this case to the district attorney's office for further review of potential privacy violations and obstruction of justice." Erica placed her hand gently over mine. I couldn't move. I couldn't cry. I could only breathe, really breathe, for the first time in months. A week later, I stood on the porch watching Maya and Leo run in the yard. No lawyers. No hearings. No whispers through locked doors. Just this. Erica called and said charges were officially under review. Lorraine's legal team had gone silent. No more phone calls. No more threats. Just silence. Fielding sent a letter of apology. Handwritten. It was short but sincere. I let it go, because I had what mattered. They say blood is thicker than water. But I've learned that love, real love, is thicker than anything. Lorraine tried to build a case against me with whispers and tricks. But in the end, it was her own voice that shattered it all. One sentence. Call. One moment of hubris that pulled the mask off the manipulator. She tried to steal my children. But what she really did was reveal herself. And now I tuck my babies in at night knowing I fought for them and won. Dear viewers, thank you for watching. If you like this story, please subscribe to our channel to receive more stories every day. Share with us what you think of this story and tell us where you're watching from.